And welcome Between the Slicks, live and in studio, a rare in studio appearance. I've already done like 60,000 miles this year chasing stories in motorsports and in particular drag racing and in particular top alcohol and funny car chaos and nitro chaos. And these in studio sessions have been rare, but it's good to be back home. Definitely good to see Mom, and I'm looking forward to eating her cooking tomorrow, Thanksgiving. And I hope each and every one of you out there have a great Thanksgiving as well. There's so much that we honestly can give thanks for, especially if you are living somewhere where you can stream this and hear this and participate in this show. Hey, if you would, speaking of participation, hit the like button, hit the share button, and looking forward to talking to our guest in just a few moments, Sean Bellemeur. We're going to be having him on. He's no stranger to the show or the platform. Finished number 2 in the world this year for Bartone Brothers Racing in, affectionately known as the Pirate Ship Top Alcohol Funny Car in Lucas Oil Top Alcohol Funny Car competition in the National Hot Rod Association. They had a stellar year, and looking forward to chatting with Sean. Sean, definitely him and that team, they were looking for a number 1 on the side of the car. They'll have number 2 going into 2024. Good year, but nonetheless, looking forward to talking to him about the year and where they fell short and where they gained and what they're going to be doing in 2024. We've got plenty to chat on concerning drag racing news, and we'll dive in on some opinion pieces as well concerning the news itself and what is happening in the world of drag racing. I do want to take the time and say thank you to Ron Anderson. He drives a top alcohol dragster, an injected nitro machine in NHRA competition. You see him often on the West Coast, the Dr. Lip Bangs brand. I'm going to put this up. See, let's see if that will focus. Will it focus? I don't know. See, beard oil right there, cedar wood, and also this cedar comb. So you all know I've got the beard and been sporting the beard for a very long time. And over sporting the beard, I've learned that if you want to have a good looking beard, you got to take care of it. They take more manicuring than you might suspect, especially to keep them looking good and glistening and all those things. Well, I'm going to tell you, he hooked me up. I spoke to him in Las Vegas. I'm like, look at me, man. You're like, we need to do something. And he had a box for me in Pomona. I've been using those products since he passed them along to me, and his products are exceptional. I have used from Buchanan. I have used Duluth Trading Company products. I've used Cremo, very well-known brand that you can find in Walgreens, Walmart, Meijer, so on. I have used, you name it, I have used it. Far as beard oils and beard balms and other such products. What Ron Anderson's got with his cosmetic company, Dr. Lip Bangs, lipbangs.com, you can see and learn more. It is legit. Something that I know when a product is good, such as the oil, I don't have to use a lot of it. A little bit will do even this big beard. And I have never had a cedar comb. One, I love the smell when I'm combing my beard, but it doesn't grab. I didn't know these things didn't grab. It's so nice to comb without the fear of yanking your chin down and getting yourself groomed and ready for the day or the racetrack. So, Ron, thank you. By the way, Dr. Lip Bangs Lip Balm. They have several flavors and styles of lip balm. I'm not a big lip balm guy, but when you get out to Las Vegas, as dry as it is, I'm glad I had it. Glad I had it in Pomona, and I'm still using his lip balm. The regular, if you will, lip balm. There also are flavored versions such as watermelon, but he also has one that buzzes. Like it will cause this buzzing sensation on your lips, and it works. Darren Williams Jr., American Hot Rod Entertainment, he can attest to that as well. And let me just say this. If you put that on your lips and you strategically use it, well, you're smart. Check out lipbangs.com, and you'll enjoy Mr. Ron Anderson's products, because I know I certainly am. And if you've ever gone, take the time, go by Ron Anderson's crew. Like all those guys look great. Like beards on point, everything's in the right place. I mean, one of the best looking crews out there in all of drag racing. Well, we're going to take the time and take a break because the show is brought to you by Destroyer 1320. Eric is doing a great job of preventing thieves from taking your modern muscle car ride, especially the Chrysler Mopar products. And he had a great SEMA show. That product is taking off. If you have not protected your ride yet, if you know someone that has not protected their ride yet, they definitely need to do that with Destroyer 1320's theft deterrent systems. We're going to take a break. Right after the break, we got Sean already in the green room. We'll just go ahead and get him on, and we'll chat some top alcohol funny car right here on Between the Slicks. Brought to you by Destroyer 1320. If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope. And now live on Between the Slicks, Sean Bellemeur. Sean, look, let me get this out of the way. We all know that you are one of the greatest, baddest top alcohol funny car drivers of all time and still going to be adding to your career for many years to come. But like in the office where you're at right now, what the heck do you actually do each day?
I asked myself the same question. No, I work for a company that out here in Southern California, bright sunny Southern California. Actually, Pomona Raceway is over my shoulder about. I live real close to Pomona, but we are the West Coast distributor or Southern California distributor for a computer software called Mastercam. Mastercam is a software that you can design parts in, and then it controls the machining centers that actually cut the parts. So what I got my start here almost 20 years ago is the founder of this company, Tom Sheelar, had a Nostalgia Top Fuel dragster that he brought me in to drive. And so I needed a job, and he hired me here, and I learned the software. And then for the last 15 years now, I've been actually teaching the software. Become the training manager here, but I love the broadness of the job. Yesterday, I taught a class. There were 3 people from SpaceX in it. There are a couple people from an optics company. We've got race car companies using it. Brad Anderson Enterprises that supplies all of our engine parts. They're a customer of mine. So it's really neat to kind of see parts that could be as big that go up in space to down to something bigger than your thumbnail. So it's but yeah, that's my 9 to 5. It's kind of nice because I do a lot of it online, and that allows me to travel and go racing with Bartone and whoever else I'm out there with.
See, folks, he just doesn't hold a pretty wheel. He can also do something 9 to 5. And by the way, I've seen you work on the car too. You know, people might think you're one of those guys that's just a hired gun, and certainly you are one of the best hired guns out there, but you can work on a car and you can turn a few wrenches, and I've seen you do that with the Bartone Brothers Racing Ride. I've seen you also helping Doug Gordon in the situation he was in, trying to make a final there in Texas. And you obviously have your own family hot rod, so you're not scared to get the hands dirty and then glove them with the fireproof glove.
No, I actually prefer it. Years ago, in my first, we'll call it hired ride, Bob DeVore tuned a car that I drove for a gentleman named Ron Meir out here on the West Coast, and we had a great year. And I did the clutch in that car back then, and that's kind of what I was raised to do. I was raised around alcohol funny cars. My dad taught me how to do the clutch on an alcohol funny car when I was 12 years old. In fact, I did the clutch, and then I needed help getting the transmission in because I wasn't strong enough to get the transmission in. But it was funny because in 07, when I drove for DeVore, I was doing the clutch in the car, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to bring a clutch guy in. That way you can just kind of focus on driving." Okay. And my driving went in the tank. I couldn't drive the damn thing. And so he actually fired the clutch guy, put me back on the clutch. He said, "You're sitting here thinking about driving too much." So no, I actually prefer it. As you mentioned, my dad and I still run our car out here. We sold the funny car body off of it, put an altered body on it, and it's basically my wife and kids, my dad and I, and we bring one guy. So between doing the clutch and bottom end on the thing, I love it. I love working on the cars. To me, it does yourself a disservice if you don't know how the car works and you're trying to drive it down the racetrack. And, you know, especially in an alcohol car where there's a lot of moving parts and a lot going on in there. If you don't know what's going on and you don't know why the motor's doing what it's doing or the clutch is doing what it's doing, you're not going to know how to respond correctly. And so I look back over my career, and that 12-year-old kid that was trying to learn how to do the clutch and couldn't barely lift the clutch can up. And I'm so glad that my dad taught me to do all that stuff, because it really helped me become the driver I am today.
Those that tend to know how it operates from whatever motorsport it is tend to be the ones that are the best drivers, it seems, for sure. And you're definitely one of the top ones out there. Sean, looking ahead into 2024, you're out there in Southern California. We've been trying to get you to a Chaos something for a while. It's going to be right in your backyard there in Bakersfield toward the end of the year. So maybe tip the tank with some pop in the family ride, or get the Bartones out there?
You know, it's actually been talked about, and where it's very frustrating when you're sitting there waiting for parts. And unfortunately, that's just kind of what the industry is these days. You know, it's no secret that we've been trying to put an injected nitro car together for Bartone's thing to at least start testing and test the waters. Boggs has some really good ideas with that thing. And so we have talked about, as soon as we get all the parts for it, go out and run some Chaos, possibly run some Midwest stuff as well. And then take a look at the schedule. You know, it was kind of interesting when the Chaos race out in Bakersfield showed up on the schedule, because that's about around the time that we start heading west to do some racing anyway. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. What I'd love to do is take my altered. We show you how we'll call it smart. My dad and I are. We actually took our nostalgia altered, and put the screw blower back on it this past year, and ran in the 570s with it, over 250 with a clutch and a 3-speed. I'd love to take that out and screw around with some of the Chaos guys. That'd be a lot of fun too. So you know, nothing's out of the question, that's for sure. I'm excited and not so excited all at the same time for this injected car. I have my reasons. I've made very clear what I feel a true alcohol funny car is. Taking nothing away what other guys do. I just like the clutch and the 3-speed, but I'm excited to see Steve Boggs at 80 years old, as excited as he is to go out and run this car. And he's, like I said, he's got some off the wall ideas, and boy, I'm kind of excited to see how those will play out with Steve's expertise. That thing has a potential of running really fast.
I'm sure that has given several in the class the mental capacity to rethink life in drag racing to some degree, of like, oh, wow, there's something new to play with. Because as you mentioned, you're very adamant, and look, I agree with you, that top alcohol funny car races was intended to be with a clutch, and you swap feet and you shift that thing. Granted, there are other combinations in the class now, and injected nitro has come along, and it's exciting to hear that someone like a Boggs and others are like, let's tackle this and let's do this differently and see how we can perform. I mean, man, are you going to be able to, like, you going to have like radio on when you drive that car? I mean, it won't. To me, it's like, just, you put you push the lever, the valves on all the way, and you just go. It seems like.
Yeah, and I've done that in the past. I mean, the Nostalgia Top Fuel cars, you drive very much the same way. The difference with the Nostalgia Top Fuel car is around 800 feet, you duck every time, because there's pretty good chance some parts getting ready to go over your shoulder. I'm excited for the new challenge. And listen, anything that Tony Bartone puts his name on, and Steve Boggs and the Killer Bees and all my guys are surrounded around, I want to be a part of, whatever that may be. I mean, it could be pro stock bicycle. I'll ride the sucker down the racetrack. So, anytime we can get together, it's much more than just the car going down the track. It's the getting together with my guys. We've got such a tight bond. So whatever it is, I'm in. I'm a happy guy. It's hard to want to pull myself out of the blown alcohol car because you just never know what that car is going to do. And especially with Boggs tuning it, he's so aggressive, and I just love that. I love that about him. It actually gets me up to be a better driver because I know I've got to be there and be ready for that alcohol car to do anything. In regards to the injected car, I'm excited for something new. I'm excited to see what it can do. I've already joked with Boggs. I said he needs to put an abacus or some buttons or a TV screen or something in there that I could play around with going down the racetrack. But if Steve Boggs is tuning it, it's going to be fast. It's going to be violent, and I'm looking forward to that. I told him, I said, in fact, you know what? Let's have some fun. Let's leave the wheelie bar off to start with. We make it a wheel stander going down the track. So anyway, it'll be good. It'll be fun. Admittedly, the selfish concern that I have, and I've actually talked to some of the other guys about this in the class, and they kind of agree, there's still not enough runs of those things going down the track to really get a barometer on where they're going to be with the current rules package. Mick Steele has made some good runs with that thing, and his tuner, Rick Hickman, he has tried everything. I mean, different tire combinations, header combination, you name it, they've done it. And they've had varying results. And Steve sits there and goes, well, I think we could work on this. I think we could work on that. And so what selfishly I'm a little concerned with is that thing goes out and runs about a 532 easily. I'm proud to say that we currently hold the national record in alcohol funny car at 535. And like that, after all those years of trying to get that, just like that, it changes the record and it changes everything. I don't want that to happen for the class, and a little bit for me selfishly, but that will lead to some potential problems, and I hope that doesn't happen. I think Steve said right up front, he goes, I'm not trying to run the 520s with this car. I'm not trying to ruin the class with this thing, but we don't really know until we go out and run the car, and that's a little scary for me.
I agree. The genie is out of the lamp. The cat is out of the bag. And how far will it run, and how many wishes will it grant to those in competition with the nitro injected machines? Yes, Mick Steele, they have been able to make some great strides. It seems like they do have an issue keeping some cylinders lit all the way down. They're down on mile per hour, but yet they've got the ET there. So there seems like there's a whole lot more room for that combination. And I agree with you. You don't want any combination to come in and right away steal the show, especially with as hard as the methanol blown combination seems to be working at this point in time. I was speaking with Bob McCosh recently, I think it was Las Vegas, and just asked him after his explosion at Las Vegas where it burnt a hole through the motor plate. I mean, my goodness. And he lost a pair of booties. But I was like, man, what's the deal? Why are we seeing explosions from like Ken Singleton's? You had one in Midwest Drag Racing Series that was pretty gnarly, and I know Doug Gordon lost some bullets this year in a major way, and he just said we're pushing it more than they ever have been pushed. And it also is not just a case of pushing it, but you have to push it, because you look at the ladder today and you can't as easily as just 5 years ago, it seems, go, oh, round one victor, round one victor, round one victor. It's not that way anymore.
Yeah, correct. And another element to this, and I mean, pointing no fingers ever, but there seems to be more parts attrition because of failure. And now, is that because of material? Is that because of, we can't get parts? Maybe guys are putting more runs on things because they can't get parts. That I really believe that is an element to it as well. I mean, I can't speak for those other guys and their race teams, but when we had our crank break and the explosion in Tulsa a couple years ago, that crankshaft was right in the middle of its life. And we kind of just scratch our heads and go, man, that's weird. The crank manufacturer we've used for years, will continue to use forever. We never point a finger that way. So sometimes you just chalk it up to, hey, that's racing. But I know that some of the problems and some of the issues with, car counts is just simply because people can't get parts. But Steve Boggs and I think Mike Gordon and a couple of those other top tier crew chiefs have elevated these cars to a level to which we've never seen before. I mean, they're constantly running in the 30s. They're constantly running in the low 40s. Heck, they're even running the 40s in the summertime in Columbus, Ohio, you know? And so the strides that have been made from the tune-ups have been, you know, like I said, a bigger jump than I've seen in a long time. And maybe some of your middle of the road teams, they to compensate for that, maybe are just turning the knobs and say, well, let's throw her on wreck and see what happens. And so I think actually that's something that the injected nitro cars may help. And I'm going off of what you see in the dragster class. You know, you see a lot of blown up blowers and blower belts flying with the blown cars, high RPMs, wrecking valve springs, working on valve train stuff. And the injected nitro stuff, your biggest cost, assuming you don't have a catastrophic failure, is the barrel of nitro itself. And so, you know, hopefully that'll enable some teams that maybe don't have the annual budget, like a Tony Bartone or Jim Whiteley, to be able to come in and play around the funny car class, have a lot of fun and be competitive. You know, and I know that was NHRA's hope from the beginning of the implementation of injected funny car. So, you know, I look forward to the ball getting rolling here. And maybe, you know, and hats off to Mick Steele again. And, you know, there's a car out of Indiana that Tommy Johnson drove as well, that, you know, has come out and made some runs, and they are the ones that really are clearing the path for the rest of us. What I'm excited to see with ours is, to my knowledge anyway, ours is really the first purpose-built injected funny car. Murph McKinney has finished up a car for us that is just unbelievable. And so when we get the rest of the parts for that thing, you will have, what is my belief anyway, the first true built injected funny car. I know Mick's car and the car TJ was driving, I think, were former Fuel Funny cars from the Camping World Series. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how the adjustments made, how maybe a little easier to tune on a car that is purpose built for this, but maybe bring the budget down a little bit so some of your middle of the pack teams can go to more races, fill those car counts, and put on a little better show for the fans.
Right. You all have a car from Murph that is different. We won't go into the details, but in talking with Murph about it, there are some thoughts that, hey, you need to seriously rethink some things chassis-wise because, well, there's weight in different places. We'll put it that way. Now, Sean, we definitely want to talk in particular the team and this year and where you all want 2024 to go ultimately with a world championship, I'm sure. But you have been in this class for a very long time. You're a multi-time world champion, regular national event and regional winner, so on, so on, so on. Hold the national ET record. You went the second quickest time out there at the Texas Motorplex this year. You and your team definitely are top notch. And you're also the right individual to ask, where do you think the state of top alcohol funny car racing is right now? Regularly, top alcohol funny car competitors and top alcohol competitors talk about one, treatment. I heard that less this year, but it did come up in some glaring moments concerning the NHRA and certain events. Then, as you mentioned, the rules changed and allowing injected nitro. Car counts, though there is great competitiveness, they are down. I think we only had 2 national events this whole entire year that had a full field of 16, and it was also tough on the regional side. I know Norwalk, Ohio had a full regional slate, and I believe Las Vegas did at least one of them. So, yes, the state of top alcohol funny car competition in your mind.
How long's your show? There's a lot of different angles here. You know, I have always been excited about alcohol funny car. They're out there. And I'll tell you one thing that is, I'm really lucky because being a California guy, I always knew the Gordons, the Gasparellis, the Littlefields, the teams that were based out of this area. And I never really ventured out. And once I started driving for Tony and flying to the East Coast a lot and to the South and to the Midwest and all over, there's a lot of cars out there. I've gotten to know a lot of people, become friends with a lot of people. If you'd have asked me 8 years ago, hey, how is that DJ Cox guy? I would have been, who? I don't know a DJ Cox. Now he's one of my better friends. So there's a lot of cars out there. there are cars being built out there. Interestingly enough, I actually have a message on my phone from yesterday from Stan Sipos from Canada, who is a former Top Alcohol Funny Car World Champion. He has rebuilt. I haven't called him back. I'm not sure if he's, going to punch me through the phone or what's going to happen. But the point is there are cars being built. There are injected nitro cars being built. So the fact that there are the physical race cars sitting in shops, garages, barns around the country and North America, yeah, they're here. In fact, you want proof of that? Take a look at Chaos. Tell me how their car counts are. Now, treatment. I know that it is not easy to be an NHRA official. I know their events are extremely hard to manage and run. A lot of cars have to go down the track. A lot of things, TV, special events, throw in some weather, and, something's got to give. I think I can speak on behalf of all alcohol racers when I say we went backwards this year. In 22, we had made some strides. In 23, we very much went backwards. Now, before I get NHRA on the phone with me right now, I'll stop there. But what I am going to say is that there are a few of us that have gotten together and are beginning to put a game plan together on how we can all work together, not sit there and point fingers, but how we can work together to make the entire program, both Alcohol Dragster and Alcohol Funny Car, better. Okay. And that's for everything from the time the rigs pull through the gate to the racing action, to the media coverage. And then as the rigs leave and we all move on to the next one. If we can band together as a group, alcohol racers, NHRA, whatever sanctioning body we're dealing with, and we can all push in the same direction, I think easier than people think, it will actually start to make things happen in a positive way. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for the future of top alcohol racing because, they say to move up, you got to hit rock bottom. I really feel like, just speaking candidly, at the end of the year here, from a treatment standpoint, we hit rock bottom. So what that did do is that lit some fire under butts. And now we are starting to get together and maybe put a plan that we can, again, I'm not saying we're going to, go against NHRA here. That is absolutely not the case. We're going to work with NHRA. We are going to be more active with NHRA to see what we can do to get the whole program moving in a better direction. So in that respect, I'm actually more excited this offseason than I've been in a long, long time. It's weird. I'm actually missing the PRI show for the first time in I can't tell you how many years. And I love that because that's my daughter's birthday weekend. I hate that because there's some really cool things happening within the alcohol classes that I want to participate in. And some things are going to be happening at the PRI show. I'm excited for announcements to come out at a later date. But there's some good things happening. I love where the stuff is headed. And, once again, going back to the whole parts attrition thing, some people, I know there are cars. I know of a car here in Southern California. They're literally waiting for parts. And when they get their parts, they're going to go racing. So as soon as we can get our parts, I think you're going to see a better show in alcohol racing all the way around, both dragster and funny car in the future.
Interesting. I'm glad for the excitement, but fascinating for you to say hitting a low point in 2023. And look, I can definitely speak on the media side of matters. It shocks me that the NHRA will use, and I understand why, it definitely grabs views. They'll use a Chris Zagota Fire. They'll use a Christine Foster Willstand and throw that out on social media, but yet they won't go talk to them. I find that fascinating, and especially in the way in which I do coverage, it annoys me. Go put these people on camera at least. They've spent this money, they've tore up their ride, and they did it on a national scale, and now it can be seen internationally. Give them some airtime.
Yeah, and and one step further, make the alcohol classes what they are, and that is a step into the pros. The future stars of NHRA. You look through the fuel ranks, and actually some of the pro stock classes as well, and you're going to see the very high percentage of those drivers were at one time in an alcohol car or injected nitro car. Look at Angel. She went back. She's now in an injected nitro car. So you know, there's a marketing point here that I think is being missed. That's part of what I was talking about actually with you know what we have rolling forward and some of the ideas that we are banding together. But that, you know, you're right. When Fuel Funny Car starts at a national event, on the video board, you see an intro into Fuel Funny Car with cars exploding and doing Nitro Funny Car things. That is exciting. And I get that. That's a great way to market the class. We've got a lot of reels too that have some pretty cool stuff going on, some pretty exciting, some pretty scary stuff. Wouldn't it be neat to play that video to get people excited about Alcohol Dragster, Alcohol Funny Car, get them to know some of the personalities? You know, we've got a lot of excitement coming forward in alcohol racing. You know, you've got Julie Natas, who's a future star. She already is a star. She just won a world championship. The world champion in Alcohol Funny Car is handing the helmet to his daughter, Maddie. You talk about marketing. We need to be all over this. We need to hit it ahead of time and hit the ground running. So come time for Gainesville, people know who these girls are. People know who these future drivers are. You know, nobody wants to talk to an old balding 20-year funny car driver like me, but they want to talk to a Maddie Gordon and a Julie Natas and those young stars coming up through our classes. And that will attract sponsors. That will attract a lot of attention, social media, national TV coverage. That's, to me, from a marketing standpoint, the direction we need to go. And that will draw a lot more interest toward our classes.
Yes, nothing against you old guys in the Top Alcohol Funny Car class, but a Maddie Gordon was definitely needed within the class. And she's doing it the way God intended it, with a clutch and shifting that thing and swapping feet. And
amen.
Drive that thing like she has been driving it for years. I mean, that 40 run that she had already after getting her license, it was just a cherry on top there in Minnesota, was frankly impressive. But yeah, she's got that, you know, she's young, blonde, cute, and got the energy and kind of Southern, you know, not Southern, but Northern California cool hip vibe going for her. Definitely something the class needed. You mentioning world champions. So Julie Natas, she gets it done in Texas. Doug Gordon gets it done in Texas. We do not get the storyline of going all the way, duking it out into Pomona. I was kind of hoping for that, but it didn't work out that way. That's
me too.
Far easier story to tell.
Yeah.
And obviously, you all were vying for that number one. You were adamant when I had you on the show earlier this year that you all, with Bartone Brothers Racing, were going for that number one. Did not quite get it. Is the strategy in Top Alcohol Funny Car and Top Alcohol Dragster Racing apparently win and win early to win a world championship?
Yeah, you know, strategy is the key. And, you know, you've got to take a look at what your team's strengths are and run with that. And so, you know, the Gordons got off to a really hot start. We did not so much. And then, you know, I think, shoot, in the end, after you tallied all up, I think we had more wins, both nationally and regionals, than Gordon. But with the way the points fell, we had to X out those races because we were out of races to claim. Take nothing away from what the Gordons did. They had an incredible year. They absolutely deserve to have the number one on their car. So what I'm about to say takes nothing away from that. They got the one, we got the two, and that's the way it should be. We got snake bit a little early in the year. We went and tested in Bradenton before the season, had a new car, showed some great promise, went into Gainesville, and we kind of missed a little bit. We got had some weather, only got one qualifying run, if I remember right. And so we had something kind of rear its ugly head first round of eliminations that, had we had another qualifying run, very much would have happened in the qualifying run. So, you know, what do you chalk that up to? Maybe some bad luck, maybe bad on our end for not catching what the issue was. But the reality is it was the same for every alcohol car. So, you know, we can't really point our season just to that. Once we found out what our problem was, and once we pinpointed it, Boggs, being the genius mad scientist that he is, said, here's what we're going to do to fix this. And that's when we started reeling off wins. And unfortunately for us, it was just too late in the season. You know, Gordon, when we needed Gordon to go out, he didn't. And we had just little things here and there throughout the season that just kind of bit us. Now I'm saying that like we didn't win around all year. We won 9 races, won Indy, won the Jegs All-Stars. We had a phenomenal year. I'm thankful and blessed to be in my opinion, the most badass alcohol funny car in the world. And it's to do it with the people that I love to do it with. I consider them my friends, not just my teammates. But the reality is when Tony Bartone puts a race operation together, all of us together, the goal is to get the number 1. And we're already working on that for 2024. What we are doing from a strategy standpoint is not so much pick a race here, pick a race there, but look at the equipment we're using and make sure that there isn't an oversight in something that could potentially kind of trip us up throughout the season and hit the ground running in 24. And hopefully, you know, with as strong as we finished, hopefully just keep right on going. The injected nitro car, when it gets done, is going to become a test piece. You know, we are going to, we've got a good car right now. And, you know, the performance at the end of the year kind of showed that. And so we are, like I said, we are going to try to accumulate the parts that we know, keep that going, and then, like as you said, Lee, go, you know, do good early and often, and see how the cards fall at the end of next year.
Yeah, this last quarter of the year, though y'all had a great year the whole year. I mean, U.S. Nationals win and Jegs All-Stars, you mentioned. Jegs All-Star will certainly be a part of this. What was the turnaround? What was the ramping up in performance? Because, man, talk about rattling off win after win after win, especially in the end of the 2023 campaign.
Some of it had to do with weather. You know, Steve Boggs, he if I had to sit down and do a performance horsepower slugfest with anybody else in the world, I think I'd rather have Steve Boggs in my corner. The weather came to us a little bit. With the cooler racetracks, Steve was just able to take the governor off and let her go. And boy, did it ever. I mean, like I said, you know, right down to running a pair of 39s at Pomona. Geez, I mean, God, that thing is fast, and boy, is it fun to drive. I just like mentally going through those runs in my mind, and man, were they fast. They were awesome. But you know, again, we stumbled across an issue midsummer that was nobody's fault. It was just something that we needed to adapt to and change. And once we did, the car really started running. You know, in the final of Charlotte, you know, the thing started creeping on me. Philez took a couple seconds extra to stage with that converter car. Things started creeping. I dropped the RPM to keep it from red lighting. And in the end, we basically got beat on a hole shot. Car still ran good. So that was a tough one to swallow. We have since addressed a potential brake issue. Dallas, I was just late, and you know, that's the one that breaks my heart. I still I still look back on that run against Kyle Smith that sealed the championship for Gordon. Got beat on a hole shot, which was incredibly embarrassing. But I hate that. I hate that for my guys. The guys deserve to be world champions. They are the best there is in the world. And with Steve's tune-up and the guys together, they know things that I never even dreamed of, how to put a race car together or keep it maintained or any of those things. They needed to be crowned world champions, and I felt like I let them down in Dallas with that whole shot loss, and that was just on me. I was slow. What that did do, though, Lee, is it pissed me off. And so ever since that Dallas round against Kyle Smith, I actually saw Kyle in Vegas. He and his dad were hanging out in Vegas. And I said, dude, I kind of have to thank you. And he said, why is that? And I said, you made me mad. And Kyle didn't. But the fact that I got embarrassed in such a key moment of the season, I had really never been more focused at the end of the year. And I intend on keeping that, at least mentally, internally, into 2024. You know, now that you asked the question 10 minutes ago, the turning point really is once we found that parts failure, Steve was able to get back to the tune-ups he knew. we'd been dancing around this issue all summer long and didn't even realize it. And then that got found, that got fixed. And whether it was hot, cold, good or bad, left or right, Indy, Dallas, Pomona, Vegas, we had a fast race car. And so if we can keep that consistency going into 24, I think we're going to be tough to beat.
Well, you all are always tough to beat, and certainly 2024, you're going to be tough to beat, and looking forward to the championship battle that will take place, along with so many others. I know Bob Bakash is probably going to take another hard run at it. What a year he had getting his first national event. You have people stepping up in competition. As you mentioned, Phil Ez, first ever national event win for him, and his combination, which is so different from anyone else's out there, is running well. Also, you got nipped by Beverett, I believe, out there at Columbus in a final round. So, again, the competition is absolutely insane in Top Alcohol Funny Car. Looking forward to the chase next year. Have you taken some time to look at the schedule for next year for Top Alcohol competitors, and what are your thoughts on where you all are going and not going overall as a class?
I'll tell you, one thing that it caught my attention schedule-wise is, I believe it's in July. I have to look at the schedule again. TBD. I'm really interested to know where that national event is going to be, because it has already been established that it will have alcohol cars. My assumption is that is going to replace the Topeka national event, which had alcohol cars. But where and when, that's going to be key. That is right about the turning point of the season to where you've got to basically do it or get off the pot. And so that one really caught my eye. Other than that, I got to be honest, there are some exciting things from a scheduling standpoint. Bill Bader caught me in Vegas and he said, "Hey, did you hear the news?" I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Regional at the Night of Fire in Norwalk." And I went, oh my God, like, just as a fan, I've always wanted to go to the Night of Fire. So we have already penciled that one onto our schedule. And you know, the fact that the track that the Baders have there in Norwalk, it's my favorite track in the country. I love Norwalk. Yeah, that one caught my attention big time. The fact that the Jegs All-Stars is back in Dallas again, what a cool event that was. And could not have been at a more perfect location with what Billy Meyer and his staff has done there at the Motorplex. That's just so cool. I'm excited for that again. I hope we qualify for it again, because it would be really neat to take part in something as a defending champion and try to represent our region again. So, other than that, man, just a full slate of racing. Pops and I are going to run the alternate a few times, both in nostalgia trim and with the big screw blower on it, and try not to crash that thing. I've actually, over the past season or so, have been helping David and Lauren McMaster on their top dragster out of Florida. They've got a blown alcohol dragster that thing is fun to play around with. So we're going to be doing some racing with it. Bartone's thing, and just, my goodness, away we go. So we are going to start in Gainesville, and just go where the wind takes us. I suppose it's neat, and we are really lucky with Tony's commitment to this sport and to this class, to where if he wants to run a regional in Phoenix, we go. If he wants to run a regional in Epping, New Hampshire, we go. So we aren't really bound by one area, and that's been a great luxury over the years. It's been a lot of fun for me as just a fan of the sport to kind of see some new places, go to tracks I thought I'd never get to go to. So that's been a lot of fun. But pretty much same game plan for us. You know, I think a lot of people kind of, I'm going to change subjects on your show, Lee, if you don't mind. But don't count out Matty Gordon. I tell you what, there's two cars that I've got my eye on right now, and that is Matty Gordon. Number one, that car goes down the racetrack a lot. Okay. What a new driver in alcohol funny car will struggle with is when the thing's up, shaking the tires, wheel standing, doing stupid stuff a lot. And I don't think she's going to have any problems handling those situations. But the point is that car does not get into those situations often. That thing goes right up and down the racetrack. Mike and Doug have such a good combination for that car. She's going to be fast, and watch out for Maddie. And the other one is the Whiteleys. Look at Jim and Annie the second half of this season. Hell, I think at Pomona, they qualified down to the 1,000th, exactly the same. One is a clutch with a 3-speed, and the other one's a converter. And right down to the 1,000th, they qualified like 3rd and 4th or whatever it was. Those two organizations, the Whiteleys and the Gordons, you know, it's the cars may be the same as they have been in the past. The combinations are different, though. I mean, obviously with Maddie stepping in, but now, you know, Jim with this converter and Brandon Snyder tuning that thing. Holy cow, has it gotten fast? Jim is awesome on the lights. Look at, you know, the success he's had at the end of 2023 here. We raced him a lot late in the day on Sunday. And so I'm excited to see what they have going on and the schedules that they put together as well. That's kind of my tie into your question, Lee, is what is you know, our schedule, but the other car schedules as well. I know there's going to be a full court press by a lot more race teams in 2024, assuming we can all get our parts.
Well, I was going to go in that direction, but you took it there of who are you going to be looking out for in 2024. And yeah, the Whiteleys, both of them. I mean, there were several toward the end of the year. Annie Whiteley, your #1 qualifier, and interviewing her, whether she liked it or not. And, you know, getting her thoughts on her lap going #1. So they definitely were performing well, and you expect that success and that performance to roll right into 2024. Well, look, I cannot wait for Top Alcohol Funny Car competition in 2024. There's going to be so many great storylines to cover and to put out there for the class and those in Top Alcohol. So I'm curious. The Bartone brothers do have a whole other side of the racing operation that to a lot of straight liners might be very foreign because they go left and right. Has there ever been talk of a driver swap between Sean Bellemeur and the Bartones over there, and you get some left and right in the Mercedes instead of the Camaro?
It's funny you say that. There is sort of a backstory here. So Tony's son Anthony is the driver of, you know, the main Mercedes road race car that they establish. And if any of you guys are interested in anything that Bartone Brothers does, BartoneBrosRacing.com. It shows both the drag racing side and the road racing side. There's actually really cool bios and videos and things like that. So about 4 years ago, we were in Charlotte, and Anthony, Tony's son, was kind of visiting with us. He typically doesn't come to the drag races, but he was there. And so I, you know, said hi and we chatted and everything. He's a really, really nice, young, talented kid. And he walked by with a helmet bag. And I kind of looked at that and I thought, you know what? I wonder if I'm losing my job. I mean, I totally understand if Tony wants to go racing with his kid, of course, that's really cool. But dang, I got the sweetest gig in all the drag race. I'm like, that's going to sting a little bit. So I said, hey, Anthony, what's with the helmet bag? You going to become a funny car driver? And without even slowing down, walking, he just turned, looked at me and kind of like gave me this nasty look. And he said, I wouldn't drive that bum for all the money in the world. He turned, went in the motorhome. And I went, well, okay. So now I feel like I'm kind of stupid for driving this bum, but maybe he's got more logic than I do. But so that, you know, I feel like I'm safe, at least from Anthony, when it comes to driving the funny car. You know, as far as road racing stuff, I got no interest. My job is to push the pedal down, go that way as fast as I can. And I, at times, have not even let guardrails or cones slow me down. So having 30 other cars on the racetrack all at once, diving for the same corner, interests me in about that much percent. I got no care in the world to do that. So no, I think Anthony's going to keep doing his deal, turning left and right over on the road race stuff. I'll keep driving straight lines best I can with funny car. And like I said, but it was kind of funny you said that, because I always remember looking back and he just kind of looked at me like I wouldn't get out of the electric chair to drive this car. And I kind of thought about that for a second, like, what's wrong with my race car? But you know, it's we're going to stay put as is.
I hear you, man. It is fascinating when you look at what drag racers do drag racing in and then start comparing it to other motorsports. It's like, have we come that far along?
You know, the one that really like kind of surprised me was we did a Midwest race a couple years ago in St. Louis, and they had invited the Top Fuel Motorcycle Group, and it was so cool to see like Spider-Man McBride and all those guys that run like way fast with those motorcycles. And Spider-Man had won his class. We did too. So we're waiting for the winner's circle, and I'm standing there looking at his motorcycle and just shaking I'm just, no. I mean, it's a ladder with tires. No. And he walked up and he goes, hey, you know, we introduced ourselves and started talking, and he was looking at the funny car and he goes, you're nuts. And I went, wait, what? Dude, you just went 250 on a motorcycle that you can fall off of, and I'm nuts. And he said, yeah. He goes, that thing looks like a damn coffin. I ain't getting in that thing for nothing. And I went, okay, well, feelings mutual, bud. You're safe in your ride with me around, because I don't believe in anything that you're not strapped to your rocket. Sorry. It blew me away that Spider-Man McBride was afraid of a funny car. Like,
and I guess you're just used to what you're used to, and you think that is safe. That element of control, the illusion, if you will. I'm sure people look at a pro stock car and they go, nope, even though they drive something quicker and faster, and vice versa, and so on. So, I know people that when I show up with a mic, all of a sudden they're scared, and I'm like, you drive a funny car. It's not this big of a deal. Come on. You don't whip out on me now.
yeah, right.
Well, Sean, look, man, thank you for your time. Look forward to 2024. We're going to let you get back to work and actually teach people about things that are important and valuable and help the world move forward with all that you're doing there in Southern California. Hey, thank you for an early morning time slot. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, and Lee, wanted to say to you, thank you for everything you've done for the alcohol classes over the last year. There's exciting things coming, and it's very early to talk about. But everybody stay tuned. The alcohol racers are going to be making some noise here pretty quick. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Good deal. Keep me updated, and we look forward to telling the news on it.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Take care, Sean. All right, folks, Sean Bellemeur, driver of the Bartones Brothers Racing Top Alcohol Funny Car, affectionately known as the Pirate Ship. Definitely looked good with that Jolly Roger on the side this year in 2023. Wonder if they'll have it next year. Maybe they'll do something a little different. I don't know. Can't wait. Now, we're going to take a break. After the break, let's get to drag racing news here on Between the Slicks. This word from Taylor Motorsports. Taylor Motorsports Products was kind enough to sponsor the coverage in Pomona at the In-N-Out Burger NHRA Finals at In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip with the top alcohol reports. If you need anything in your motorsports endeavors concerning safety, from fire suits, restraints, and beyond, even such as seat pours, Taylor Motorsports Products, you need to call Dennis and Justin.
Taylor Motorsports Products is your first stop for quality safety equipment for your car or your driver. All of our safety equipment products are made in our facility in Albany, Oregon. From custom fit fire suits to racing seat belts, supercharger restraints, engine diapers, transmission blankets, and many other must-have items. Our racing history runs deep. We are racers building the finest safety equipment for racers. And we're a proud supporter of the chaos.
Well, drag racing is always in the news, one way or the other. We certainly hope that it's positive and not like those late nights. Oh, we got kids on the street drag racing and doing donuts and all that. No, go to the track. Go to the track. Get it done there. Now, concerning drag racing in the news, drag racing never stops. It just happens to move to Florida. That's what happens in our day and time, or in other places where it's still warm. For example, drag racing is full song down under in Australia. And speaking of that, we got to get some Australian alcohol racers and nitro racers on beyond Miss Fiona Crisp and chat with them. I never can remember the guy's name, but I got to get him on. That's got the wedge, got the what is effectively a front engine dragster, pro alcohol front engine dragster with a body on it that is narrow. It looks like the Batmobile out of the 90s animated series, or at least I think it does. And matter of fact, he's leading the points right now, if I remember correctly, going into their next event. Got to get him on the show and talk about that combination. It is loved or loathed. There seems to be no in between with his combination. But concerning drag racing, ladies and gentlemen, the Snowbirds, they are coming down there at Braden Motorsports Park in Florida. You can see the Night of Fire, December 2nd. They will be having their Night of Fire, and it is a race that most notably is known for the Big Bad Pro Mod Shootout. $52,000 on the line. And you can see that there is certainly plenty more, from Outlaw 632, No Time Shootout, to Pro 275 and beyond at that event. But the biggest and baddest and bestest door slammer racers from across the country and the world and different sanctioning bodies will make the trek down to Florida for, I think, what is and should be considered the most prestigious race of its kind for its longevity and its payout, the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals. So if you're down in Florida, if you're not down in Florida, if you need a vacation to Florida, this is the place to be. I am not going to make it as of yet. It's certainly an event that I want to get to. I have not been able to get to, but I have got to be prepared for this event coming up. PRI, which I feel like in a lot of ways is a drag racing show. There's so much drag racing at PRI. I understand it is performance racing industry trade show. There is a lot more racing and motorsports that is there, from IndyCar, stock car racing, dirt track racing, and beyond. But drag racing is represented very well at the PRI show. That takes place December 7th through the 9th in Indianapolis. I will be assisting McKinney Corp with their booth. We'll also have Competition Plus Power Hour going live, and Between the Slicks will be going live as well. Continuing in drag racing news, the PDRA, one of the premier spots for door slammer drag racing, possibly the most competitive 8th mile competition for door slammers that there is, period. From Pro Boost, Pro Nitrous, and Extreme Pro Stock, they have announced their 2024 schedule. And notably, they will be making their first trip to legendary Thunder Valley. Bristol Motor Speedway, Bristol Dragway, and Bristol, Tennessee was able to attend Bristol for the first time this year. What a beautiful drag strip that facility is. Anybody getting the opportunity to the race there, well, they should take it. It is definitely going to be a worthwhile event, but they're going to make regular stops as they do, such as Galat Motorsports Park, Virginia Motorsports Park, Summit Motorsports Park. They'll be at Maryland International Raceway, US 131, Bristol Dragway, Galat Motorsports Park, Virginia Motorsports Park. Once again, a great schedule for 2024 for the PDRA. Concerning the fan vote that is out there, I brought this up on the last show. I want to bring it up again. National Dragster All-Star Team fan vote. Well, let me know who you have voted for. I would love to know some of the most notable that you have voted for. And in particular, I have been pushing vote for, well, top alcohol driver of the year. Go vote concerning top alcohol driver of the year. They put together, the funny car drivers put together the dragster drivers, and you're voting for one top alcohol driver of the year. And a lot of great people to choose from on that list, from the world champions, Doug Gordon, Julie Natus, Sean Bellemeur, who we just had on the show, Bob McCosh Jr., who had a stellar 2023, or you could write in anyone else. And then I have also been pushing Vote McKinney Corp for Race Car Builder of the Year. McKinney Corp wasn't even on the list, which I find sad and I believe to be a mistake. So I've been pushing very hard for McKinney Corp to earn this Race Car Builder of the Year, put some respect on Murph's name. And as of this point, I had a reel that I put out on the McKinney Corp social media channels. On the Facebook side of matters, this reel saying, hey, I think this is a mistake, and doing a brief little shop tour and stating vote McKinney Corp, put respect on Murph's name. It's like over 28,000 views. I think I'm probably on the official you-know-what list with National Dragster. I hope so, at least. Nonetheless, go vote. Whoever you want to vote for. This is a great way, and I'm so glad that the NHRA and National Dragster is doing this. This is a great way for you to participate. We feel like so many times that we don't get to participate in this great sport enough. And here is a way for you to be able to do it. Voting ends Friday for that National Dragster All-Star Team fan vote. So get your vote in before Friday. Maybe it's by Friday and you can still vote on Friday, but voting does close. So just go get your vote in by Thanksgiving. Let's say that. Tomorrow. Get your vote in. No. Go vote now. No, not now. You need to watch the rest of the show. Go vote after Between the Slicks. Okay? Do that. NHRA.com, and you can find it. And I have to scroll down a little bit now, but you'll find this fan vote. Sean Bellemeur chiming in on YouTube. Vote for Sean. Yes, you certainly can. That would be a great vote for top alcohol not funny car, but top alcohol driver of the year. So yeah, go vote for him. And remember, McKinney Corp, you're going to have to hit other and just type in McKinney. That's all you got to do. So we can win that. And Murph can be respected. And I can, when it's announced at the NHRA stage, because that's where they're announcing that, I can yell out, "Put respect on Murph's name," and get kicked out. That's my plan. So help me do that. I hope someone films it. That's going to be good. It's going to be good. We'll move right along from drag racing news, and I want to take the time. Oh, by the way, very soon. Actually, there should be an announcement coming out very, very soon. It might already be out. Let's do some live looking here. Cruise Petragon was going to have a major announcement at noon today concerning the team. There was an announcement made yesterday that they have let go of John Collins, JC, from the team. And yes, we do have an announcement. This is big. We're able to continue the announcement just made on Cruise Petragon Racing social media feeds on the new duo tuning the Snap-on Fuel Funny Car. It is John Medlin and Jason Bunker. Wow. There's a big change. There's a big move. That definitely makes you wonder who is going to be tuning Paul Lee now. Now, this move, not in particular to Cruise Petragon Racing, but I'd heard of this move of John Medlin and Jason Bunker not staying with Paul Lee, but we have now found where they have landed, and it is Cruise Petragon Racing. John Collins no longer in at Cruise Petragon Racing. That is a big announcement. That is a shakeup in the Fuel Funny Car world. Paul Lee definitely had been running well toward the end of the year. Now, John Medlin, one of the greats in nitro tuning, and Jason Bunker, one of the certainly up-and-coming tuners, young up-and-coming tuners out there in the nitro ranks, making this move to Cruise Petragon Racing. And I think they might very well find a good place to land there. Cruise Petragon just announced a new multi-year deal with Snap-on at Pomona at the end of the year. So they've got a place where I think they could do some thriving more than likely. Cruise definitely needs a good year in 2024. 2023 was not what they were expecting. I think it was a strange year for Cruise. Did a peak pit note interview with him on competitionplus.com right after Vegas, and it looked like things were tracking in the right direction. There were number one qualifying efforts. The ET was there. Seemed like the car was performing well, but then it went downhill and just had strange occurrence after strange occurrence after strange occurrence. And one of the most notable, I think, the incident that happened to him in Bristol, where there was something wrong with the wheel and his hands get smacked around with the steering wheel, and he pulled out of line for safety reasons, and glad he did that. But nonetheless, that was a round loss to that team in a time where they were certainly needing it. So Cruise Petragon Racing welcomes John Medlin and Jason Bunker to the team. Wow. Silly season in full effect in the NHRA. As Kevin McKenna likes to put on Twitter, I have to agree with him. Can you not hear the toolboxes rolling and shifting and jockeying position in Brownsburg, Indiana, from Nitro Shop to Nitro Shop. I do want to mention this. As great as the PDRA schedule is, and I do think them going to Bristol is going to work out well, at least from just a racer standpoint. It is a great place to go race as a racer. But it very well may work out just fine as a fan place, too, because it is in traditional pro mod country, if you will. But I do think a place such as the PDRA and the program that is the PDRA, and I love PDRA drag racing, have attended a lot of PDRA drag races and covered PDRA drag races. It seems that they do better fan-wise, though they're not a series that is completely dependent on the fans. But they want to have fans in the stands. Every driver wants to race in front of fans. It's a great feeling that people are onlooking and seeing what you're going to accomplish out there on the racetrack. Well, I think it would serve them better to track away from national event tracks. I've noticed this, and I've seen it with Funny Car Chaos as well. It is challenging when you are not the national event going to a national event track trying to bring spectators to your event. Because the national event at so many tracks that hold national events, they are the principal event. Granted, they might not be the money-making event, but they are the event, the flagship event that can trickle down into the other events. But people are looking to that on the event schedule as their time, if they're that casual fan, to show up to that track. Whereas I think it serves PDRA better. I think it serves Funny Car Chaos better. I think it serves many other series better when they look at a track and they say, we're going to go to this track because when we go to this track, we are that national event caliber event. And we are going to be that principal event. I think that is a situation like Maryland International Raceway. We had a good time and a good showing for Funny Car Chaos there in the middle of the year, but it's going to take time for that Funny Car Chaos East Coast rendition to grow and to be a fan favorite and a fan-packed event, because Maryland International Raceway does such a great job with all its other principal events, namely the World Cup. That is their flagship, and people come out in droves for that event, and that's the event that is circled on the calendar. So I think it serves well when you're Funny Car Chaos, your Southeast Gassers Association, your PDRA. Try to stay away from national event tracks. I think that serves well. And you participate at tracks that are quality, world quality tracks, but you become that national event type of event. Or you're at a national event track and your program is enveloped into a traditional, long-running, successful program. For example, the Cavalcade of Stars at Norwalk. Bill Bader already had something there, and they wrapped it into the regional side for the NHRA, and it's a successful event that is well attended. And they're doing that now with the Night of Fire. I think that works out well. But to try to do it on your own, that may not bode the best for having that fan viewership when you're going up against the flagship at a national event track. And it is a national event because we're saying what? National event track as a descriptor of that type of track, because they have what? A national event. For example, when Funny Car Chaos shows up to Mocan, Nitro Chaos shows up to Mocan, that is the event at Mocan. so on and so on. Just keep that in mind. That's my thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, look, it has been great to air early with you Wednesday and in the morning into the afternoon for Between the Slicks. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. So good to have Sean Bellemeur on, the top alcohol funny car driver for Bartone Brothers Racing, number 2 this year in the world in top alcohol funny car competition. It is my intention through the offseason to speak with all the top 5 in points of top alcohol funny car and top alcohol dragster. We have already talked to the world champion, Doug Gordon, right after Texas. We still need to get Julie Natus on and chat with her as the world champion for the dragsters and continue through the top 5. I also need to get Quayne Stott on. We need to talk with him about this year, a successful year from what I can tell for the Southeast Gassers Association, and no telling who else we may very well have here on Between the Slicks. Thank you all for watching. Hit the like button, hit the share button. We will be right back here. The plan is back to the normal time, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. But tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Thank you for watching and enjoy your Thanksgiving, and go Cowboys. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal. Oh, by the way, if you're working on your race car right now and you need assistance, McKinney Corp is the place to call. They'll pick up your phone call today, and not only will they pick up your phone call today, but if you're out in the garage, you're out in the shop, and you're working on your race car, do you need something? Well, they're going to be there Friday after Thanksgiving. Call them.
McKinney Motorsports is your #1 source for all your chassis needs. McKinney Motorsports is the leading chassis parts supplier and fabricator in nitro drag racing. From custom tanks and fittings, full chassis builds, body mounts, steering components, fasteners, tabs, clamps, composite parts, and much more. Our household name in the racing world guarantees added performance on the track. Join our list of proven winners that spans over 50 years of racing experience.